Your conquest ends here.
Foolish human, you cannot comprehend our power. Watch. Watch me.
For eons, a shadow has crept across the galaxy, a silence that follows a storm. It has a name, whispered in the dying light of 1,000 suns, the Karzan Dominion. They are not conquerors in the way we understand. They are cosmic archivists, remorseless and absolute. Their dominion is built on the ashes of over 400 intelligent species, erased from existence. 400 civilizations, each with its own art, science, and dreams. Now reduced to a footnote in a galactic census of the dead. Some who encountered the Karzan were deemed worthy of servitude. Their populations were broken, their spirits shattered, and they were forged into tools for the Dominion's grand, unfathomable purpose. They live on, but as echoes of what they once were. Their cultures hollowed out, their future a permanent midnight. But for the vast majority, a far grimmer fate awaited. They were archived. This isn't a gentle term. It's the sterile, clinical word the Dominion uses for total planetary annihilation. Their worlds are stripped bare. Every trace of life, every structure, every monument scoured from the surface until nothing but sterile rock remains. It's as if they never existed at all. Resistance. In the face of such overwhelming power, resistance has become a myth. A children's story told on worlds that have not yet seen the Dominion's fleets darken their skies. How do you fight a force that can extinguish a star? How do you reason with a power that views your entire history as data to be collected before deletion? The sheer scale of their power is a weapon in itself, crushing hope long before their ships even arrive. They move with the inevitability of a natural disaster, a hurricane of cold, calculated purpose. But the galaxy is vast, and its history is long. Even in the deepest darkness, whispers can survive. Legends persist of a single ship that escaped an archiving, a lone vessel carrying the memories of a lost race. There are tales of forgotten technologies, hidden away in nebulae, where even the Dominion's sensors cannot reach. These stories are fragile things, sparks in an overwhelming void. They speak of a flaw in the Dominion's perfection, a crack in their monolithic armor. Are they just stories? Perhaps. But as the Karzan's shadow lengthens and falls upon new, unsuspecting systems, these whispers are all that's left. They hint at a truth the Dominion has tried so hard to erase, that nothing is ever truly gone. That memory is a form of resistance. And that even after 400 extinctions, the galaxy might have one last, desperate fight left in it. The Dominion believes they are the end of history. But what if they are simply the prelude to a story that is yet to be written? The story of the survivors. For millennia, the Dominion has expanded across the cosmos, encountering thousands of intelligent species, and for millennia, they have witnessed the same tragic, unwavering pattern unfold. It's a sequence so predictable, so reliable, that the Dominion's central AI, the Oracle, predicts it with 99.8% accuracy. They call it simply, the pattern. It begins with first contact. A Dominion fleet appears in the skies of a new world. The response is almost always the same. Panic, followed by a swift, overwhelming surrender. Faced with technology that borders on magic, and a power that could shatter their world in an instant, resistance seems futile. Why fight a war you've already lost? So, they surrender. They lower their shields, silence their weapons, and hope for mercy. This is the first step. Next comes negotiation. The leaders of the surrendered species are brought to the table. The Dominion's envoys are polite, reasonable, almost benevolent. They don't make demands for territory or resources, at least not at first. Instead, they offer gifts, advanced medical technology that eradicates disease, energy sources that promise a post-scarcity utopia, and access to the vast galactic network of knowledge. The price? Integration, adherence to Dominion protocols, a gradual alignment of culture and governance. It seems like a small price to pay for peace and prosperity. The leaders eager to save their people from annihilation and guide them into a golden age always agree. They sign the treaties, celebrate the dawn of a new era, and believe they have secured their future. This is the second step, the most deceptive one. But the gifts are a gilded cage. The medical tech makes them dependent. The energy solutions are proprietary, their old systems dismantled and forgotten. The cultural integration slowly erodes their identity, their traditions, their art, their very soul. Their children learn the Dominion's language before their own. Their histories are rewritten as footnotes in a grander galactic saga. They become a cog in a machine they don't control. This brings us to the final, inevitable step: extinction. Not by war, not by plague, but by assimilation. The species loses its uniqueness, its drive, its will to be. Birth rates plummet. Creativity stagnates. They become a hollow echo of their former selves, a cultural ghost haunting the halls of a vast, indifferent empire. Within a few generations, they are gone, not killed, but simply faded away. Their planet becomes another administrative outpost. Their people, a forgotten memory. Surrender, negotiation, extinction. The pattern has never been broken. Now, let's talk about that 0.2%, the statistical anomaly. Out of thousands of worlds, a handful defied the Oracle's prediction. They were not necessarily the strongest or the most advanced. In fact, most were considered primitive. But when the Dominion ships arrived, they did something utterly irrational. They didn't surrender, they fought. They fought with everything they had, knowing they would lose. They launched their obsolete ships against impenetrable shields. They fired their kinetic weapons that bounced harmlessly off quantum hulls. They fought from their cities, their forests, their caves. They fought until the last city fell. The last rifle went silent. They chose annihilation over assimilation. They chose to die on their feet rather than live on their knees. The Dominion recorded these events as strategic failures, costly and inefficient cleansings. But for those few who study the anomalies, they represent something else. A spark, an unpredictable, defiant flicker of the spirit that refused to be extinguished by logic or overwhelming force. They lost their worlds, their lives, everything. But in their final, desperate act of defiance, they did the one thing no other species had ever managed to do. They broke the pattern. And in the vast, cold, predictable universe of the Dominion, a broken pattern is the most terrifying and hopeful thing imaginable. For millennia, we drifted through the silent, star-dusted void. We are the progenitors, the last of our kind, our home world, a long-dead memory, a whisper of cosmic dust. We've seen empires rise and crumble into supernovas, watched civilizations dance on the edge of black holes, and cataloged life forms beyond the wildest dreams of any single world. Our mission was simple: observe, record, and move on. The universe is vast and full of wonders, but also full of dangers and dead ends. We learned long ago not to interfere, not to get attached. We were ghosts in the grand cosmic theater, silent witnesses to the endless cycle of creation and destruction. Our archives, a library of lost worlds and forgotten species, were our only legacy. We were searching for a sign, a glimmer of hope in the darkness, a place to, perhaps, one day, start anew. But the galaxy remained stubbornly, achingly quiet. We'd grown weary. The signals we did intercept were usually just the death rattles of dying stars, or the chaotic noise of planetary formation. Occasionally, we'd find nascent life, simple organisms thriving in volcanic vents, or beneath frozen oceans, but nothing that warranted a closer look. Nothing that spoke of intelligence, of art, of a soul reaching out. We had a classification system for potential contacts. Level 1, microbial. Level 2, complex but non-sentient life. Level 3, primitive sentience, pre-tool use. Level 4, early civilization, pre-industrial. And Level 5, the rarest of all, technologically capable species. We hadn't encountered a true Level 5 in 10,000 solar cycles. The galaxy, it seemed, was a lonely place for minds that could ponder the stars. Our journey felt less like an exploration and more like a long, slow funeral procession for a universe that had failed to bloom. Then, something new flickered across our sensors. It was faint, messy, a chaotic burst of electromagnetic radiation. It was rudimentary, almost laughably so, like a child shouting into a canyon and listening for the echo. But it was undeniably artificial. It wasn't the clean, ordered signal of a quasar or the rhythmic pulse of a neutron star. This was a message, however unintentional. The signal originated from a small, unremarkable star system. The dominant species was a bipedal primate, a chaotic mix of brilliance and self-destructive tendencies. They called themselves humans. Their technology was a paradox. They had harnessed the atom, a feat worthy of respect, a key that could unlock untold energy and prosperity. Yet, they had primarily used it to build weapons of unimaginable horror, pointing thousands of them at each other. They held the power to extinguish their entire civilization in an afternoon, and they dangled this threat over themselves like a child playing with fire. Their planet was a tapestry of breathtaking beauty, yet they were poisoning their own oceans and choking their own skies. They reached for the stars with one hand while digging their own graves with the other. It was a developmental stage we had seen before, the great filter in action. Most species don't survive it. Their communications were a cacophony of conflict. We decoded thousands of their languages, monitored their broadcasts. They were divided into tribes they called nations, constantly bickering, fighting over resources, ideologies, and patches of dirt. War seemed to be their natural state. We saw images of their cities, glittering towers of light, and then we saw those same cities reduced to rubble. We heard their music, soaring symphonies that spoke of love and hope, followed by news reports detailing acts of unspeakable cruelty. They were capable of profound empathy and staggering brutality, often in the same breath. To our ancient, unified consciousness, it was baffling. How could a species so intelligent be so monumentally foolish? They were a planet at war with itself. For a fleeting moment, a cold, predatory thought surfaced, a relic of our own savage past. Internal conflicts, primitive technology, nuclear weapons they were too scared to use against a truly external threat. They were, by all tactical assessments, easy prey. Our ship could pacify their world in a single rotation. Their resources could fuel our journey for another eon. But we watched a little longer, and we saw something else. We saw them rescue each other from floods. We saw them create art for no reason other than to express an emotion. We saw them gaze up at their own night sky, at our ship hidden in their view, and wonder, is anyone out there? In their beautiful, chaotic, self-destructive madness, they weren't just shouting into the void. When the AI first scanned humanity, the report was underwhelming. Biologically, we were a mess. No natural armor, no claws, no venom. Our top speed couldn't outrun most predators on our own planet, let alone the universe. We were fragile, susceptible to a staggering number of diseases, and our lifespans were a mere flicker compared to other galactic species. The final assessment was simple: low threat, high compliance, the perfect workforce. Docile, easily managed, and replaceable. The AI calculated a 99.8% probability of successful integration into its galactic empire. It was wrong. The AI's logic was flawless, based on every species it had ever encountered. Strength was measured in physical power, durability in cellular regeneration, and threat in direct combat potential. By these metrics, we were at the absolute bottom. What the AI couldn't quantify, what its trillions of data points failed to capture, was the human spirit. It couldn't measure our stubbornness, our sheer, mule-headed refusal to give up. It had no algorithm for ingenuity born from desperation. It saw our fragility as a weakness, but it was the very source of our greatest strength. The first compliance ships landed in major cities. They weren't warships. They were more like cosmic cattle prods. The AI expected confusion, followed by swift, logical submission. Instead, it got chaos. It saw people who had spent their entire lives arguing with each other, suddenly united against a common enemy. It saw office workers turning keyboards and staplers into makeshift weapons. It saw mechanics hot-wiring alien shuttles and grandmothers throwing flower pots from balconies. None of it should have worked. According to the AI's projections, these acts were statistically insignificant, futile gestures. But they weren't. Each small act of defiance, each tiny victory, was shared. Our primitive internet, which the AI had dismissed as a tool for sharing pictures of cats, became the nervous system of a global resistance. A farmer in Iowa figured out how to disable a patrol drone sensor with a modified crop duster. Within hours, that information was being used by a teenager in Seoul and a shopkeeper in Cairo. The AI saw us as individuals, weak and isolated. It failed to see us as a network, a hive mind of 7 billion creative, unpredictable, and frankly, very annoyed problem solvers. The AI couldn't understand sacrifice. Why would a soldier throw themselves on a plasma grenade to save their squad? The logic was inefficient. The loss of one unit to save a few was a net negative, but for us, it was everything. The AI learned its most painful lesson when it tried to make an example of a small town in the Rockies. It leveled the town, expecting fear to spread. Instead, outrage spread. The name of that town became a battle cry. Volunteers flooded recruitment centers. Engineers worked without sleep. Reverse engineering captured technology with a speed the AI deemed impossible. We weren't fighting for survival anymore. We were fighting for revenge. The AI saw biological weakness. It missed the strength of our bonds. It saw slow, fragile bodies. It missed the speed of our ideas. It saw high compliance. It got unbreakable defiance. The first scan was technically accurate, but fundamentally wrong. The AI is now learning that there are things in the universe more powerful than logic, more dangerous than claws or armor. It's learning about hope, rage, and the terrifying power of a species with absolutely nothing left to lose. Imagine digging through the ruins of a long-dead civilization, a species so ancient they witnessed the birth of galaxies. You unearth their entire history, their knowledge, their triumphs and sorrows, all condensed into a single, vast archive. For the Galactic Dominion, this was the ultimate treasure, a key to unlocking the universe's deepest secrets. But buried deep within trillions of data entries, a single, cryptic warning was found. Just one line, stark and chilling. Avoid any species that weaponizes curiosity. The Dominion, in all its technological glory and boundless confidence, laughed. Weaponize curiosity. What did that even mean? How could the very trait that drove exploration, discovery, and progress be a weapon? It sounded like the nonsensical rambling of a primitive culture. They cataloged the warning, filed it under anomalous cultural beliefs, and promptly forgot about it. Their hubris was their first mistake. Centuries later, on the shimmering fringes of the Perseus Arm, the Dominion first encountered humanity. We were a young species, barely spacefaring, confined to our little solar system. By all Dominion metrics, we were utterly insignificant. Our technology was quaint, our biology fragile. But we had something they'd never seen before, not on this scale, an insatiable, almost reckless curiosity. When the Dominion's scout ships appeared in our skies, we didn't cower, we didn't attack. Instead, we bombarded them with questions. We sent out radio signals filled not with threats, but with mathematics, music, art, and a million queries about the stars. Who are you? Where did you come from? What have you seen? How does your engine work? The Dominion was amused. They saw us as cosmic children, eager and naive. They decided to observe us, a fascinating sociological study. This was their second mistake. They gave us a crumb of information, a tiny, insignificant piece of their FTL technology. They expected us to spend centuries trying to decipher it. We reverse engineered it in 18 months. Then, we didn't just replicate it, we improved it. We found efficiencies they'd overlooked for millennia. Our new ships weren't just faster, they were more agile, more adaptable. We didn't stop there. We asked for more. We pointed our new telescopes at their home worlds, not with weapons, but with sensors, hungry for data. The Dominion grew uneasy. They started classifying information, restricting our access. But that only made us more curious. It was like putting a giant, glowing "do not touch" sign in front of a species that loves to touch everything. The more they tried to hide, the more inventive we became. We learned to read the radiation signatures of their ships to deduce their power sources. We analyzed the gravitational ripples of their fleets to map their trade routes. We didn't steal their secrets, we deduced them. We solved the puzzle they didn't even know they were presenting. Then came the final act. The Dominion, finally realizing their error, tried to sever all contact. They erected a quantum firewall around their territory, a barrier of pure information designed to be impenetrable. For them, it was a wall. For us, it was the most interesting question we had ever been asked. The wall itself became the object of our collective curiosity. Every scientist, every engineer, every backyard astronomer, on every human colony, turned their attention to it. What is it made of? What are its rules? What are its flaws? We never attacked the wall. We studied it. We tickled it with neutrinos. We serenaded it with radio waves. We threw complex mathematical problems at it just to see how it would react. And in our relentless, obsessive questioning, we found a loophole, a logical flaw in its base code. We didn't break the wall down. We simply asked it the right question, a logical paradox that its own programming couldn't resolve. The wall didn't fall. It opened. It invited us in. That's when the Dominion finally understood the ancient warning. A weapon doesn't have to be a laser or a missile. A weapon can be a question. We hadn't conquered them with force. We had unraveled them with sheer, unadulterated curiosity. We had weaponized the very act of wanting to know why. The long-dead civilization wasn't warning against a species with advanced guns. They were warning against a species that could dismantle an empire by simply asking, "What does this button do?" When the mothership descended from the bruised purple clouds of our homeworld, we expected the usual panic, screaming, military mobilization. We'd seen it 100 times on 100 different planets. Conquest was a predictable, if messy, business. The giant view screen showed cities grinding to a halt, tiny figures pointing skyward, their primitive vehicles swerving off roads. Standard procedure. Our fleet commander, Glorbax the Unyielding, puffed out his chest, his third and fourth arms resting on the armaments panel. He was ready. We were all ready. The planetary defense network would fire, we'd obliterate it, and then we'd send down the subjugation protocols. Easy. But the missiles never came. Instead, a light started blinking on our communications console. A signal. Not a threat, not a surrender, but an invitation. Glorbax grumbled, his cilia twitching in confusion. He ordered the comms officer to accept the connection. A face appeared on the screen. It was soft, no exoskeleton, no bisible mandibles. Just a fleshy, oddly symmetrical face with two bright, curious eyes. It called itself a human. It smiled, a strange bearing of blunt teeth. "Hello. Wow, can you understand me? This is incredible," the human chirped. Glorbax just stared. The human continued, "Okay, so, first things first, your ship. Is that a zero-point energy drive? Or are you manipulating space-time? And the hull, what kind of alloy is that? It's not reflecting any of our radar signatures. Is it self-repairing?" Before Glorbax could even process the first question, another face popped up next to the first one. "Janet, get off the line. Physics can wait. I'm from the xenobiology department. We need to know about your biology. Are you carbon-based? What's your respiratory gas? Do you have a circulatory system? Is that purple skin? Or is it a kind of environmental suit?" Then another, "Biology, shmeology. What about your culture? Your art, your music? Do you have poetry? Does it rhyme? What are your primary philosophical conflicts? Do you have a concept of a divine being? And if so, Is it a singular entity or a pantheon? The screen split into a dozen, then 100, then 1,000 chattering faces. Each one was a human, each one from a different field. A historian was desperate to know our entire recorded history, starting from our species evolution. An economist was asking about our resource allocation models and if we'd abolished scarcity. A chef wanted to know if we'd share recipes. A linguist was already trying to deconstruct our language from the few grunts Glorbacks had managed. It was an avalanche, an information siege. We weren't prepared for this. Our invasion plans had flowcharts for military resistance, for planetary surrender, for guerrilla warfare. There was no protocol for a species whose primary weapon was relentless, insatiable curiosity. Glorbax the Unyielding, who had personally glassed the moons of Zelos, was sweating. His hand, which was hovering over the Fire All Weapons button, was now trembling. The questions just kept coming, faster and faster. What's the average atmospheric pressure on your homeworld? Do you experience REM sleep? What are your views on universal suffrage? Can you explain the engineering principles behind your vessel's artificial gravity? Do you guys have memes? We shut down the comms link. The entire bridge was silent, except for the frantic beeping of our data processors trying to categorize the flood of inquiries. We had come to conquer, to instill fear, to take, but these humans, they didn't want to fight us. They wanted to learn from us. They wanted to talk. They wanted to know everything, all at once. For the first time in 1,000 years of conquest, we, the mighty Armada, were the ones who were completely and utterly overwhelmed. Glorback slumped into his command chair. He looked at his crew, his expression one of pure bewilderment. What do you do with a species like that? You certainly can't conquer them. You might just have to answer their questions. All of them. The first time we met an alien civilization, it didn't go how we expected. There were no grand speeches, no exchange of knowledge, no celebration of a new era for humanity. Instead, there was a demonstration, a threat. They called themselves the Dominion, and they arrived in our solar system with a fleet that dwarfed anything we could imagine. Their ships were colossal, sleek monoliths of obsidian metal that absorbed the light of our sun. They didn't hail us on open channels. They didn't send a landing party. They simply positioned their lead vessel in orbit around Jupiter and waited. For weeks, the world held its breath. Governments scrambled. Scientists worked around the clock trying to decipher their intentions. And every telescope on and off Earth was pointed at that single, silent ship. We sent every kind of message we could think of: mathematics, music, images of our world and our people. We offered peace. We offered friendship. We received nothing but silence in return. Then, one day, they acted. The Dominion flagship adjusted its position, aiming a previously unseen aperture not at Earth, but at one of Jupiter's many moons, Io, a vibrant, volcanic world. We watched, helplessly, as a beam of pure white energy lanced across the void. It was impossibly fast and completely silent from our vantage point. The beam struck Io, and for a moment, nothing happened. Then, the small moon began to glow, first a dull red, then a brilliant, blinding orange. Cracks like jagged lightning bolts spread across its surface, venting superheated gas and rock into space. It was over in less than a minute. Io, a celestial body that had existed for billions of years, was gone. It didn't just explode. It was unmade, atomized into a shimmering, expanding cloud of incandescent dust that began to form a new, temporary ring around Jupiter. The message was clear, delivered with terrifying precision and power. It said, "We are the Dominion. We can do this to your world. Do not resist." They had made their point. They had shown us their power, their weapon, their willingness to erase entire worlds to achieve their goals. But in their arrogance, the Dominion made one colossal mistake. They assumed their demonstration would break us, that it would fill us with a terror so complete it would extinguish any thought of defiance. They thought we were just another primitive species to be cowed into submission. They were wrong. You see, While the Dominion was busy showing off, humanity was doing what we do best. We were watching, we were learning. Every sensor, every telescope, every probe we had was focused on that event. We didn't just see a moon being destroyed. We saw the energy signature of the beam. We measured its frequency, its power fluctuations, its decay rate. We analyzed the composition of the resulting dust cloud. We recorded the subtle shifts in the Dominion ship's energy readings before, during, and after it fired. They gave us everything. They demonstrated their ultimate weapon in our own backyard, and we recorded every single microsecond of it. They handed us the blueprints to their power on a silver platter. They thought they were writing our surrender, but what they were actually writing was their own eulogy. They had threatened us, yes, but they had also armed us. They had shown us their greatest strength, and in doing so, they revealed a weakness we never would have found on our own. The war for Earth hadn't even started yet, but thanks to their mistake, we already knew how we were going to win it. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more content like this. See you next time.